running water. CWA has a director converted into a quasi-minister. Non-revenue water exceeds 50% owing to an antiquated piping system. The former DPM promised water supply on a 24/7 basis. Indeed, game for a laugh, but a tragic reality for those who have no running water to shower and to flush the toilets. Enough is enough. It is flagrant violation of basic human rights for people not to have water, to have a shower a day, or to flush the toilets. Of course, they've decided to flush the regime on the day of reckoning. The internal auditor of the CWA has drawn attention that payments would not be sanctioned in relation to the pipe-laying system project. The quality of work has to be certified by engineers. The lady did not budge. She has chosen to quit. And I have to congratulate internal auditors from different sectors, namely CWA, from Silverbank and other institutions who preferred to resign rather than being submissive and party to corrupt practices. The internal auditor deserves our praise. I still don't understand why officers of the Ministry of Finance bent backwards to sanction payment irrespective of quality of work. Undue pressure was used by the director of the CWA. I am appalled and shocked the substantive ministers treated with contempt by the quasi-minister of water. Mr. Speaker, the budget has been overshadowed by the parallel economy. The hardcore drugs are killing fields our society. 14 billion worth of drug seizures since 2016 to date is the tip of the iceberg. If not addressed frontally, it will lead to a descent into social chaos. The nexus with drug barons is obvious. A Bolivian couple with 6 kilograms of cocaine worth 100 million rupees is the mule for a drug baron living in Mauritius. Who is he? Perhaps the cronies of the MSM, led by Praveen Jagannath, should know. 95 kilograms of cocaine was discovered in the mechanical excavator on the day the first tram of mail landed. No arrest yet, but inquiry is still ongoing. In 2022, out of 120 cases reported, only 3 cases landed in court. The big boss roams freely because of the nexus. Honorable Minister of Commerce, Kalichand, was wrong to authorize the rolled-on cigarette paper with a street value. Yes? Okay.
What is happening here? Is there any point of order?
Point of order. At no point in time, I authorized. I answered the PNQ where I stated that the authorization was given back in 2019.
As a responsible minister, you should have seen to it that this should have been shelved and measures taken to make sure that there is no roll-your-own cigarette paper. I've read your reply. I've read your reply. You have to bear your responsibility. I can understand you're trying to be a responsible minister, but unfortunately you didn't act and you didn't take corrective measure. You should have said so. You should have done so. Mr. Speaker, Labour-led government will be ruthless and merciless towards drug barons. The truth will be uncovered as a foretaste. The MSM-led regime will have it in the face. That's the difference. There's a vast difference between them and us. Zero tolerance toward those who are harming and destroying our children, our youth, our human capital. The Dangerous Drugs Act has to be amended. All drugs-related cases must be referred to the office of the DPP. There is a racket led by a person to get some of the alleged offenders off the hook against huge payments. Monitor high-profile cases of drug traffickers are not always being referred to the office of the DPP. Striking team is reluctant at times to dismantle the network. Mr. Speaker, COVID was an early harvest and a bumper crop for many, notwithstanding the hefty contribution made to swell the war chest of the MSM. The 10 million rupees that Mr. GMLS made is only a tip of the iceberg. After all, he stated forcefully he was the special advisor to the Prime Minister. Are you surprised that the MSM has 4 to 5 billion to exercise, billion rupees to exercise undue influence at the forthcoming general election? Who said it? An independent political analyst. Did he say 40,000 rupees per voter? It's taxpayers' money. Taxpayers have been ripped off. Time to collect, Mr. Speaker. Voters will strike with the sweat and tears of joy to oust the regime. Mr. Speaker, I talk of our human capital, our best asset. It is the powerhouse. It is the energizer, the movers and shapers of our economy. Can you imagine our financial services, our IT-enabled services, the tourism, without the vigor of our youth? We have been able to leave the grey list of OECD and blacklist of EU, advise the regime not to entertain the likes of Gupta and Shetty. This government has failed to draw lessons from the evil effect which Dr. Sobrino had upon our financial services. The Indian press writes, the past investment may be scrutinized. Government ends easy tax relief for Mauritius-based foreign portfolio investment. It has to adapt to consolidate and make the financial services more competitive. Promises were made by the Indian Prime Minister Modi to late Senator Jagannath that India would protect our low-tax jurisdiction. But whether we like it or not, multilateral agreement rule the waves, and there's no departure. Before signing the recent amendments on the Mauritius-India Protocol, influenced by the base erosion profit shifting, Mauritius should have first looked for a carve-out on the grandfathering of businesses before 2017, as prevailed in the double taxation avoidance treaty. Will grandfathering provisions likely to be insulated from amended rules? There has been no dialogue with operators. It is unfortunately a false start. Many big players have acquired companies in our financial center. We have to be mindful that they don't use our domestic companies simply as back office. Value addition will keep our youth in our jurisdiction. A labor-led government will turn brain drain into brain gain. Youngsters in the financial services are taking up employment in more secure jurisdictions. Did I not say at the beginning, we are under the constant gaze of the IMF and the FATF. Yet, we have to make sure that our jurisdictions are clean and neat. But we're not making much headway in a sector where opportunities are constantly knocking. We must not be a tax haven for shady characters. As a low-tax jurisdiction, tax avoidance today and evasion should be past history. What they want in our jurisdiction is substance, substance, and substance. Mr. Speaker, EDB conduct roadshows and fairs in the interest of unfortunately land speculators. It should not incentivize the whole of our limited land area. Why are our young, qualified, or skilled manpower seeking better pastures? The regime is to be blamed. It is impossible for many of our young people to buy a plot of land and construct a decent home. The cost of 7 pairs of land for construction can be as high as 2 million rupees, Mr. Speaker. Land speculation is killing the legitimate hope of a young couple who want to have a roof over their head, to ensure that the kitchen runs smoothly, and to make laughter the best medicine. The fear is real from the number of foreigners who are allowed to buy ground plus 2 properties. Put citizens, our republic first, they are being priced out. Mr. Speaker, our best asset is our valuable human capital. The Mauritian miracle is possible. A nation's strength, warns Emmanuel Macron, France's president, lies in its ability to generate a dynamic birth rate. An article in The Economist highlights the chronic and acute demographic problem. The world wants to escape baby crisis. Since 2006, 2006, in September 2006, since September 2006, South Korea's government has spent 270 billion US dollar, or just 1% of its GDP a year, on baby-making incentives, such as tax break for parents and maternity care. Year in, year out, IMF reminds us that the impact of our demographic problem will impact upon our PRB and social aid. Our actuarial team recommended a host of reform. Parental leave will have its lawful place on our agenda. The measure announced in the budget conveys the right signal. Of course, of human bondage should be our mantra. A selective immigration policy deserves utmost consideration. The delicate balance of our demographic pattern has to be maintained. We are a world in miniature, and we have to consolidate unity and solidarity, and it should be sine qua non, which is sine qua non for stability and growth. Mr. Speaker, this is the Parliament of dissolution. I can give firm guarantee to the population that the Labour-led Alliance will deliver. The key word is governance. We will put hard-earned cash in the pockets of workers and will deliver love and care to the needy and persons with disabilities. We have to dignify our people. Equity, equality, and magnanimity will be our mantra. The MSM-led regime is leaving the country with a parallel economy based on drugs trafficking. It has to be dismantled. An educational system which has become a threat to children and society. 94% of failure rate for those in the extended program. Education has to be a success story, a passport for life, and not a jailhouse rock for misfits. Bring all our kids on the path to success, irrespective if some will move on the fast track and others on the slow lane. It is the ultimate destination which matters. The key word is level up. Madam Vice Prime Minister, Parents and Teachers Association of Private Secondary School are up in arms. They are sick and tired of being taken for a ride. The books of teaching materials have been delivered after a long wait, a wait of more than 5 months. The problem of shortage of teachers, of teaching staff, is yet to be resolved. Be flexible, for God's sake. Do recruit. They blame government for high rate of truancy. It is higher than the pre-COVID period. The problem of drugs in school is not negligible. It is becoming acute. The director of the PSEA is insensitive vis-à-vis partners because he thinks he was offered a sinecure. The goalposts cannot be changed to frustrate management and teaching staff of the private secondary school. The question that begs an answer is the agenda of the regime to bring the demise of private secondary education paid by taxpayers. Granting aid should not be delayed to frustrate management of private secondary. No child should be left behind. I appeal to the Vice Prime Minister to take corrective measures, even if a regime is on the verge of collapse. Make an exit with clear conscience. And I will quote what a co-leader of the Youth and Social Support Project stated, Professor Franco. He said that the benefits of good social support cascade into many areas of health. Friendship and social connection are cornerstone of healthy adolescent development. If young people are lonely, they are then at an increased risk of developing depression, physical problems, such as poor sleep and later ill health, including cardiovascular disease. Mr. Speaker, we have to bring in civic education. We have to set up civil defense unit and draw lessons from the German system. Prepare young citizens to be citizens of good society. They have to be inculcated with values of democracy, relevance and importance of ecology, and sustainable development and good citizenship. They are our best asset, though at times they behave like angels with tight fists. We have to make our youth the eco-warriors of today. Amending the Constitution to make our seats an ocean state is the way forward. There's so much which could have been done for a country with 2.1 million square kilometers of EZ, the 20th largest in the world. It is high on our agenda. Blue economy holds promises for prosperous Republic of Mauritius with its vast EZ and extended continental shelf. Not a single mention, as I've stated earlier, of blue economy in the budget. EIA licenses are dished out at an alarming rate over a year. The Minister of Environment is like a desperate swimmer, and he cannot be insensitive or indifferent to the pertinent matter raised by Honorable Ms. Béranger. I will not elaborate, but a minister sworn in cannot be judge and party. I hope he declares his interest in cabinet. We in the opposition are monitoring. La Chambre de Notaire cannot act like the free wise man is. It would be unwise. Mr. Speaker, let me turn to agriculture. Who cares about encroachment on prime agricultural land? Who cares if our food bill is more than 60 billion rupees? Where is our policy to produce what we eat and eat what we produce? This is no longer a priority for Ministry of Agro-Industry and Land Scope. Where is the policy for rehabilitation of abandoned agricultural land? Smart agriculture is a foreign dream. Sugarcane remains a good carbon dioxide cleanser. The Minister of Finance announced that planters would obtain 30,000 rupees per ton of sugar. But the Minister has to tell us what is the ex-syndicate price, whether additional money is going to be obtained from special sugars. The price obtained has to be aligned. The number of planters is declining. There are 8,000 planters only and many absentee landowners. Measures announced to rehabilitate land, but let us pray and hope. As of now, only 2,000 hectares are under replantation, and not 9,000 hectares as have been stated in the budget. Mr. Speaker, as for key performance indicators, these are yet to be spelled out. So I will ask the Minister to check the figures. 30,000 hectares in the sugarcane cultivation. Abundant land can be used for reforestation to obtain carbon credit, notwithstanding sugarcane itself is a good carbon dioxide cleanser. For God's sake, set up the Vocational School of Agriculture. Start with basic research and development and innovation. Computer-controlled agricultural production with AI is a reality. Unfortunately, with Land Scope, there is neither scope, scale, nor depth for the planters and other entrepreneurs. Where is the polytonal agriculture, which we highlighted every time we have an opportunity to raise the issue? Bring in the Dutch and the South Koreans as strategic partners. Self-sufficiency is not a dream, it can be a reality. Livestock farming units have to be set up, but it may be a daunting task. Lessons have to be learned from the Salazi experience. The MCIA is mired, the Mauritius Cane Industry Authority, in controversy. It has no internal auditor and qualified company secretary. The report of the external auditor is shocking and a shame for management. It is a time bomb loaded with debt and is serving the personal interests of like-minded to the detriment of the planters community. Audit committee meetings have not been held for more than 3 years. The last one was on the 23rd October 2020. Up to the 21st April 2023, nothing has happened. Procurement procedures are flawed, and nothing is posted on the Public Procurement Office portal. I've been told tender for construction of warehouses to store bagged sugars have been launched. By a date of magic, the cost of construction of 3 warehouses has escalated from 200 million to 500 million rupees for construction of only 2 warehouses. I've been told that the chief executive is a designated candidate for MSM. Let me turn to the floodgates of financial scams. Since 2015, the regime has been a floodgate of financial scams. I will highlight the corrupt privileges extended through surreptitious amendment of the finance bill. Who are the beneficiaries? Banksters, fraudsters, colonies of the regime. Do the name of Sobrino, Shetty, Gupta, and Lioti ring a bell? Banking license is granted easily with high risk. Money talk. Since 2017, the Bank of Mauritius has become less diligent on source of fund. I demand that the Prime Minister provide an exhaustive and transparent explanation of the circumstances surrounding the approval of Mr. Sobrino's application. The Prime Minister's office is alleged to have manipulated existing regulation to facilitate the approval of Sobrino's investment banking licenses. This included legislative changes that allowed the Financial Services Corporation to issue licenses for investment banks, bypassing the Bank of Mauritius, which had previously refused to grant Sobrino a banking license due to his controversial background. These legislative adjustments were seen as tailor-made specifically to accommodate Sobrino's application, further indicating undue influence. Prime Minister should take unqualified responsibility for any and all the consequences that may arise from this shocking lapse in judgment. The stories of Silver Bank will be told. Why is the minister unwilling to reply to legitimate PNQ? Secrecy and the provisions of Section 64 of the Banking Act and Section 26 of the Bank of Mauritius Act is used to hide the grant of licenses, to give unsecured loan, or to loan them money. Is it with the protection of the governor of Bank of Mauritius, recently elevated to the status of Grand Commander Star and Key of the Republic of Mauritius? The Minister of Finance chose to insulate itself. Sorry, not the Minister. The Minister of Finance chose to insulate himself from the provisions of the Banking Act. Why? Who are the beneficiaries? When the empire is on the verge of collapsing, it will introduce the most corrosive pieces of legislation surreptitiously in the finance bill, Mr. Speaker. An investigative journalist, Mr. NJ, on the 23rd of May 24, made shocking revelation on how depositors of ex-Banyan Tree Bank were coerced to sign a deposit retention agreement to transfer the deposits to Silver Bank. Biggest financial scam, heist with no certainty that taxpayers' money will be returned. A regime of banksters and fraudsters aided and abetted by those at the helm. Do you know of any central bank which has allowed cronies to have loans without guarantees while auditing the account of a bank? How much unsecured loans have been extended to Mr. and Mrs. Gupta and others? 8.8 billion rupees yet to be accounted for. A journalist from UK, from the Times of UK, and the name I won't drop, is investigating the case. The alleged import of nickel sold to Trifigura by Gupta was all but nickel. A character is shady and uses his wife as an accomplice. And I've been told that the gentleman, when he made a visit to Mauritius, he was given VVIP treatment. The unfettered powers conferred upon the Financial Crime Commission are being challenged in the Supreme Court by the Office of the DPP. The Financial Crime Commission, unfortunately, has become the political arm of the executive to strike at all political opponents. It cannot remain a gray area. A Labour member, Nouveau Democrat, will repeal the Financial Crime Commission to introduce a fiercely independent, serious fraud office. Mr. Speaker, let me now turn to the health sector. Not everybody can throw taxpayers' money. The millions of rupees from purchase of ineffective ventilators. One may say, who cares when it's taxpayers' money? Prime Minister chaired high-powered emergency committee. He stated the requests came from Minister of Health. I'm not saying that he had a selective memory, and he should tell the House, but the population has a right to know who gave firm instruction to doctors to approve the acquisition of substandard equipment. I know of a specialist who quit. She felt sick because of coercion. The consultant anesthetist told the Minister of Health he would not approve the purchase. Are we surprised that the biochemical engineer stood up to the Minister of Health and told him to seek elsewhere? There will be an inquiry. The successive reports from the Director of Audit since 2021 have given hate over many untold stories. Emergency procurement during COVID was a festival and a bonanza for cronies of the regime. Pack and blister rogue suppliers sold artificial respirators, not to the norms and standards, for 476 million rupees, and thermal camera from Budgétaires for controversial sum of almost 309 million rupees. Mrs. Govindan, whose husband died prematurely, I'm sure has many untold stories to tell. And I'm sure Dr. Jumai would be obliged. Mr. Speaker, winners take all, but they left their main agent out. The diary with all the payments will be used as evidence to uncover the truth. You just have to wait. The main agent was left out after threatening to denounce the crooks. He was kidnapped and murdered in Telfair, Mocha, whose hands are smeared with the blood of the late Mr. Skisner. How do some of them dare to shake the hands of decent people? I'm not going to talk of benefit of doubt, but the hands are smeared. The truth will be uncovered, and guilty party or parties will have to face trial. It is a mediocre attempt to address the key health issues affecting our population in the short term and long term. We have to focus on secondary and tertiary prevention, and unfortunately, they have focused on secondary and tertiary prevention and practically ignored primary prevention. Medication costs will continue to rise, and additionally, there may be a lack of key medication if the situation is not addressed. The artificial intelligence ECG machine should never have made its way into the budget. It is at a premature and preclinical stage at best, and I would advise the Honorable Minister to pay heed to two scientific papers which were published, and we could forward copies to him. The reason as to why they put into question the reliability and interpretation of the results. I would advise him to err on the side of caution and be careful because of false positive results. And he has to tell us why these results have to be interpreted in Germany and at what cost. Unfortunately, there's no mention of mental health of the population. This has been completely sidelined in the budget. Mr. Speaker, let me come to procurement of drugs, which is a major scandal. On procurement of 1 million tablets of molnupiravir, the principal pharmacist, Mr. Naik, has been made. A contract was awarded to a rogue importer tablet from a reliable and trustworthy supplier. Have to answer for. Made uncalled comments on the ruling of the court. All charges against Mr. Naik have been dropped. Medicine every month, medicine of quality. All measures should be taken for quality assurance lab. If there is bioactive medicine in use in hospitals, 60 Property Rights Act has to be amended. Mr. Speaker, health is wealth, and there are lessons to be drawn from flash floods. Unfortunately, we never learned. Since 2015, the regime promised sewerage outflow would be a thing of the past. 10 years gone, there's still backflow and overflow from flash floods. Where the sewerage reticular network to redress this problem? The grievances of people have reached boiling point. Are we surprised of high incidence of death over infectious diseases like leptospirosis? And we have to be aware of dengue and malaria. Mortality increases with age over 70 years of age. Other groups at increased risk of severe illness include pregnant women and also patients with chronic diseases such as renal disease, cancer, chronic lung disease, liver disease, and diabetes, as well as immunosuppressed patients. PNQ was asked on at-risk patients who are having renal dialysis. Neither the report of the fact-finding nor findings of the Medical Negligence Standing Committee has been rendered public. But the Minister of Health stated that the error was administrative, a major flaw indeed which cost the lives of 11 patients. Compensations to the bereaved families are long overdue, Minister. Renal replacement therapy is an important treatment for patients with renal failure due to leptospirosis. In severe cases of leptospirosis, renal replacement is required in just over 30% of patients. Have we projected an increased need for dialysis if we have an epidemic? Planning for these eventualities in advance will be best, of course. Mr. Speaker, let me turn to the People's Turf Public Limited Company. We are told that it will surrender its horse racing organizer license. But the gentleman is 2 furlongs ahead of the pack. His appearances in the media lately are a mere eyewash, and it has been so decided with the duplicity of the regime. We ask the question who controls the gambling mafia with complicity at the highest echelon of government. Mr. GMLS has an obligation to answer. The minister is desperate and wants to collect betting taxes which have nosedived. Horse racing industry used to bring 800 million rupees as tax revenue to the coffers of the state. But the state, as a tax collector, has an obligation to make Champ de Mars an attractive leisure and recreational place. We have to bring back the punters and families to the Champ de Mars. Yes, we can do it, and I agree that MTC cannot be judge and party. It cannot be impervious to change. MTC has to prepare a credible plan to turn things around. There are huge financial constraints, but it needs to find the resources to turn things around, and I'm sure MIC can act as a facilitator. We in government will see to it that HRD and GRA, Gambling Regulatory Authority, are fiercely independent and the findings of the Paris report implemented. The MTC will organize horse racing. Mafia rule and cruelty to animals cannot be tolerated. I don't have to elaborate, but I issue a note of caution to the likes of those who fix races. They are people on the payroll of the PTP PLC. The Prime Minister has been informed, and he knows that GRA and subdivision HRD have to give answers. The number of horses found positive to various illicit or prohibited drugs is the worst form of cruelty. I hold the chairman of GRA and HRD responsible. Inquiry over nails spread over the racecourse remains the worst form of cruelty. The silence of the former Minister of Agro-Industry and Attorney General is shocking. The offenders will have to bear the consequences. First, who gave instruction to bouncers to intimidate and harm members of the Portuguese Tennis Club, to evacuate the club. The MSM regime is largely responsible for the total mess created. The professional squat and bluff master has to quit and return the Portuguese Lawn Tennis Club its location, which I think he did. The Free MP of the constituency number 2 have acted without fear, and the fight is on to enable residents from deprived areas to exercise their legitimate rights. They will play soccer and take the leisurely strolls. We have to say hell with the people's turf and its mob. We say no to mob rule. It is not because it swells the war chest of the MSM that it should get away. There is substantial evidence that people of the GRA and the RRA act to give special and differential treatment to Mr. Jim Ellis. Mr. Speaker, law and order shaken and stirred. The rise in gang violence is of deep concern. With a high incidence of vandalism, how safe is our neighborhood? Is the police on the beat, or are they being beaten up? The law and order, as I've described, is largely subjugated by mafia close to the regime. The parallel drug economy with its milice has infiltrated political police and take for granted anything and everything. A Labour-led alliance will have to address the problem frontally, without fear and prejudice. Since 2015, acts of intimidation, harassment, violence are ugly features of our society, unacceptable. A panoply of measures ranging from appropriate legal and institutional reform will be taken, from police and criminal evidence to serious fraud office and penal reform. There are miles to go. The judiciary should not be spared. L'île Maurice est le seul pays au monde où le même corps de juges siège en première instance et en appel. Dixit Sanjay Bakul. This has to come to an end. Mr. Speaker, I would like to take a moment and to acknowledge and commend the principal instance and unwavering commitment to transparency and integrity demonstrated by the majority of Mauritians. I also have to convey special thanks to the chairman of the Board of Investment, Oil and Scope Mauritius, and also former senior advisor to the Prime Minister. At least he has stood his ground firm. Let us be a nation of eco-warriors and inculcate a culture of eco-preneurship among the young entrepreneurs. Catch them young and let them understand the relevance of circular environment. MID started to work, but the regime deemed it fit to postpone the day of reckoning. 10 years gone, and environmental degradation is visible. The corporate climate levy will raise 5 billion rupees, which will be credited into a consolidated fund. I propose, I've stated earlier, the setting up of a public-private partnership, and with money raised to be credited to a special fund to be managed by the PPP, with specific term of reference for adaptation, mitigation, and turning the Republic of Mauritius into a pristine environment. Government cannot be trusted with the money that will be entrusted to it and credited to the consolidated fund. This money needs to be mobilized and used specifically for environmental projects. Mr. Speaker, the road to freedom in the age of AI is inevitable if technology is well harnessed. Make artificial intelligence an opportunity now. Productive sectors are there, but let us deliver a wholesale inclusive package for sustainable development. Let us say no to piecemeal approach or measures spelled out in the budget. From applied research and development and innovation in productive sectors, the potential to be an ocean state is at arm's length. More than ever, the country needs to get resources towards impactful research and development and innovation to build resilience and to get us out of the middle-income trap. The country was ranked 40th in the Global Innovation Index report in 2014 under the Labour government and has dropped to the 50th position in 2023 under the present regime, a drop of 17 ranks. The World Bank, in its report in December 2023 Country Private Sector Diagnostic Report, clearly mentioned, and I quote, "There is a lack of shared understanding, vision, and strategy on how to foster innovation in the country, and which has led to a proliferation of small and scattered innovation programs and initiatives under several ministries and agencies with little coordination and interaction." It also mentioned that Mauritius was, I quote, "an early proponent modeling sustainable development with the Maurice Île Durable policy strategy in 2008. In 2008, the Labour government was forward-looking and had already embarked on a journey of sustainable innovation with clear vision and strategy. Our tertiary institutions, industrial sectors, research centers have to establish better linkages to level up. And it is imperative that good governance and meritocracy prevail in all institutions. Whether it is services or manufacturing, our cane juice, rum, or demerara sugar, we have to export brand products and market Mauritius as an attractive, affordable, and alternative destination. Make Mauritius attractive, the best sought-after destination for gainful investment. The ultimate secret to unlock and unleash the energy of a great nation is confidence, and not like the case of this government where corruption and opacity prevail. We shall be the next government. Prime Minister should pluck courage to call a snap election. He's like a spent swimmer hanging onto a rotten wooden plank. His exit is programmed, and he's swimming in an electable sea. Mr. Speaker, I thank you for your attention. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your speech. And let's suspend the sitting for 1 hour. Seated.
Announcements none. Papers have been laid. Motion.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I beg to move that all the business on today's order paper be exempted from the provisions of paragraph 2 of Standing Order 10.
Seconded. The question is that all the business on today's order paper be exempted from the provisions of paragraph 2 of Standing Order 10. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. Ayes have it.
Statements by ministers none. Public bill first reading.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I move that the appropriation 2024-2025 bill number 4 of 2024 be read the first time.
Seconded.
Madame, Mademoiselle, Monsieur, bon début d'après-midi, 15h04 maintenant à l'hôtel gouvernement. Au pays suivre en direct, présentation budget 2024-2025 au micro pour traduction instantanée en créole. Abdel Boulaki pour l'MBC. Au pays suivre donc le 5e budget du gouvernement de Pravin Kumar Jagnot qui peut présenter par ministre Finances, Plan et Développement économique, Dr Renganaden Padayachi. Donc, quelques jours de cela, le ministre des Finances, Renganaden Padayachi, définit cause l'orientation économique
Mr. Speaker, sir,
et
I
l'orientation
move
qui
that
permise
the appropriation
la relance et la justice sociale.
2024-2025 bill number 4 of 2024. This government has placed motions at the heart of its action. Investing in the population whilst reducing inequalities to boost growth and development. This is our strategy. Thanks to this philosophy, we are here today stronger and more united than ever. Yet, over the last few years, our economy has been faced with its worst shock since independence. Surviving
Monsieur le Président, on peut proposer qu'il appropriation 2024-2025 bill Lili une deuxième fois. On peut présente devant cette auguste Assemblée pour le 5e et dernier budget de cette mandature. Ce gouvernement, depuis son arrivée aux fonctions, il fait une place mauricien au cœur de son action, investit dans la population, réduire l'inégalité pour accroître la croissance et le développement. C'est nos stratégies. Et avec l'appui de cette philosophie, nous ici à Zodi, plus fort et plus solidaire que jamais.
Decreased from 43% in 2017 to 19.6% in 2023.
Le revenu mensuel moyen des ménages mauriciens a augmenté de 51,1% entre 2017 et 2023 pour atteindre 55 600 roupies avec la promotion de ménages qui gagnent moins de 25 000 roupies par mois, fait diminuer de 43% en 2017 à 18,6% en 2023.
Billion rupees in 2023, much higher than the 628.4 billion rupees estimated initially. Total investment grew by 30.9% compared to 7.8%
Le fin enregistré un faux taux de croissance du PIB de 7% en 2023, après une croissance exceptionnelle de 8,9% en 2022. Nos PIB fin atteindre 651,7 milliards de roupies en 2023, bien plus qu'il est 628,4 milliards de roupies estimés initialement.
Exceeding the 33.5 billion rupees registered the year before. Exports of goods and services increased by 30.8 billion rupees in 2023 to reach
L'investissement direct étranger pour 2023 de Maurice Lipliski, 37 millions de roupies, et que ça dépasse même le précédent record de 33 milliards de roupies enregistré l'année avant. Et a aussi une exportation de biens et de services qui fait augmenter de 30,8 milliards de roupies en 2023 pour atteindre 347 milliards de roupies.
Headline inflation decreased from 10.8% in 2022 to 7% in 2023. Public sector debt stood at 78%.
Chômage à fin 2023, l'ITI 6,1% comparé à 6,8% à fin 2022, soit le taux le plus bas depuis plus de 25 ans. Et là aussi l'inflation globale qui fait diminuer, passant de 10,8% en 2022 à 7% en 2023, et que finalement le ratio de la dette publique au PIB, les 78% en 2023, soit une baisse de 7,2 points de pourcentage.
Because our youth is our future, we have made education completely free from pre-primary to university and launched an independent scheme through a one-off grant of 20,000 rupees at the age of majority. Convinced that all work deserves pay, we have increased
Joindre le progrès social à la croissance économique fin pot souffrir, ça finira possible grâce à la mesure que ce gouvernement, sous la direction de l'honorable Premier ministre Pravin Kumar Jugnauth fin prend. Quand nous sommes jeunes, c'est nous l'avenir, nous finira une éducation entièrement gratis du pré-primaire à l'université. Nous finissons aussi lance Independence Scheme sous forme d'une subvention unique 20 000 roupies qui est versée à l'âge de majorité à 18 ans.
6,000 individuals, including 5,500 women. To ensure the dignity of our elderly, the basic retirement pension.
Convaincu que tout travail mérite un salaire, nous fin relève, nous fin augmente le revenu minimum garanti de 12 075 roupies à 15 000 roupies par mois en juin 2023, puis à 18 500 roupies en janvier 2024. Et qu'afin que chaque Mauricien et Mauricienne ait la même chance face à l'emploi, nous faisons introduire et élargir la prime à l'emploi qui peut bénéficier 6 000 membres de nos sociétés parmi 5 500 madames.
2,000 rupees for those who earn less than 25,000 rupees and 1,000 rupees for those earning between 25,000 and 50,000 rupees. A CSG child allowance of 2,000 rupees monthly.
Pour assurer la dignité des aînés, la pension de retraite de base à partir de 60 ans fait une progressivement revue de 10 000 roupies en 2022 à 11 000 roupies en juin 2023 pour arriver à 13 500 roupies depuis avril 2024. Puis, suite à la mise en place de la contribution sociale généralisée, nous faisons soutenir le pouvoir d'achat des Mauriciens grâce à la CSG Income Allowance de 2 000 roupies par mois à ban qui gagne mensuellement moins qui 25 000 roupies et de 1 000 roupies pour ban qui gagne entre 25 000 et 50 000 roupies.
Benefit of the middle class, we have replaced the flat tax regime by a progressive and fairer tax system with a maximum tax rate of 20%.
Nous finissons vers 4,4 millions de roupies sous forme de subsides pour maintenir un prix de détail du riz, de la farine et gaz ménager cette année-là, et pour plus de justice sociale et fiscale, en particulier, un bénéfice des classes moyennes. Nous faisons en place le régime fiscal par un système taxe progressif et plus juste, dont le taux d'imposition maximum, les 20%, et que ça lui permet à tout un Mauricien pour payer moins de taxes qu'avant. Aujourd'hui, une personne qui gagne jusqu'à 30 000 roupies par mois n'est pas besoin de payer de taxes sur revenu.
Of the population. This budget is a continuation of our philosophy. Growth for social progress, growth for all and with all.
Bonne famille vulnérable, la classe moyenne, bonne jeune, bonne madame, bonne retraité, bonne personne à handicap. Personne ne peut être laissé de côté, c'est ça qui guide ce mandat du gouvernement et qui peut continuer à faire la confiance de la population. Le présent budget l'y inscrit dans la continuité de nos philosophies.
Belongs to each and everyone because, Mr. Speaker, sir, tomorrow is ours. This is why we'll focus on three key pillars: fostering economic dynamism.
Le présent budget est inscrit dans la continuité de nos philosophies, soit une croissance au service du progrès social, une croissance pour tout le monde et qu'avec tout le monde, une croissance robuste, inclusive et durable, en un mot résiliente, parce que la seule façon pour nos pays prospérer à ce rythme est écrire nos destins avec ambition, parce que l'avenir de ce pays appartient à chaque Mauricien, parce que, Monsieur le Président, demain, il y a nous.
This is a better economy for better lives. To foster economic dynamism, we must enhance the ease of doing business environment to sustain higher levels of investment. We must make the labor market more
Monsieur le
vibrant
Président, l'économie dynamique, elle crée plus l'opportunité, meilleure l'emploi, une productivité accrue, un investissement, une inflation plus faible. C'est une meilleure économie pour une meilleure la vie et pour cultiver nos dynamiques économiques, nous peut améliorer le climat business afin qu'il maintienne un niveau d'investissement bien haut, peut ainsi rendre le marché du travail plus actif pour faire augmenter nos productivités et nos compétitivités.
We have reached an investment rate of 23.5% in 2023.
Nos stratégies, c'est pour amener un produit intérieur brut de 1 milliard, de 1000 milliards de roupies, c'est-à-dire 1 trillion d'ici 2030. Et que, Monsieur le Président, ce budget pour permettre nous, pour continuer à améliorer l'environnement business, pour pleinement réaliser nos extraordinaires potentiels. Nous finissons atteindre un taux d'investissement 23,5% en 2023 et qu'un record FDI, Foreign Direct Investment, de 37 milliards de roupies, soit 5,7% de nos PIB.
First, portability of bank accounts will become a reality this year. Second, the information center of the companies and business registration.
En 2024, l'objectif, c'est arriver à un taux d'investissement 25% et qu'une entrée FDI 40 milliards de roupies. Et pour atteindre ce but, nous pouvons prendre une série de mesures. Premièrement, la portabilité des comptes bancaires pour une réalité à partir de cette année-là. Deuxièmement, le centre d'information du Companies and Business Registration Department, les opérationnels 24 heures au 24 et 7 jours sur 7.
Licenses delivered electronically within the next 3 years. Fourth, a tax arrears settlement scheme.
Troisièmement, le nombre de licences intégrées au National E-Licensing System passe de 26 à 35 en commençant par les essais cliniques et les licences de pêche. Et on a aussi les Début Economic Development Board qui travaille avec diverses autorités pour doubler le nombre de licences délivrées électroniquement dans les 3 prochaines années.
Subject to all requirements being met. Six, the MACCS e-bunkering service will be operational on a
Quatrièmement, un tax arrears settlement scheme et un contribution arrears settlement scheme pour être mis en œuvre jusqu'en juin 2025 avec une exonération totale des bonnes pénalités. Cinquièmement, Financial Services Commission pour rationaliser ce PMI afin qu'il y accordé dans un délai de 10 jours sous réserve qui toutes les conditions sont remplies.
A new consulate in Réunion Island and an embassy and an embassy in Japan will be open to facilitate. Mr. Speaker, sir,
puis, pour faciliter la résolution des litiges commerciaux, le cadre de règlement extrajudiciaire des litiges pour moderniser. Ensuite, les gazettes gouvernementales et les textes législatifs pour disponibles en format numérique d'ici décembre 2024. Et qu'enfin, un nouveau consulat à La Réunion et qu'une ambassade au Japon pour ouvert afin qu'il facilite les relations économiques et commerciales.
The measures taken last year Women participation in the labor force has increased from 43 will continue with the prime à l'emploi.
Monsieur le Président, la politique de l'emploi qui nous fin mener au cours de nos mandats fin porte ses fruits. Le taux de chômage fin passe de 10,4% au dernier trimestre de 2020 à 6,1% au dernier trimestre de 2023. C'est le chiffre le plus bas depuis 1996. Nous pouvons continuer cette stratégie-là, une stratégie que chaque individu n'est pas pour laisser pour compte et que grâce à une mesure qui finiront l'année dernière, la participation de la femmes à la population active fin passe de 43% à 48%.
Will contribute a sum of 7,500 rupees monthly to their salaries for 20 hours of work.
Nous pouvons continuer le programme de la prime à l'emploi pour madame qui pape et travail, qui lise classe. Une personne handicapée pour bénéficier d'un soutien supplémentaire pour intégrer le lieu de travail grâce à une augmentation de la période de stage qui passe de 6 mois à 1 an. De plus, afin qu'il puisse madame et une personne à handicap joindre le marché du travail, la prime à l'emploi est adaptée à une personne qui souhaite travailler à temps partiel. Le gouvernement peut contribuer à un montant de 7 500 roupies à ce salaire pour 20 heures de travail.
Allowing them to work, to speed up recruitment of foreign workers, to speed up recruitment of foreign workers, will be amended to provide.
Monsieur le Président, pour que l'économie maintienne un niveau de croissance plus élevé, nous pouvons continuer à accueillir un talent étranger, mais nous pouvons faire en sorte qu'il y ait un procédé simplifié pour l'entreprise. Le seuil d'éligibilité pour Occupation Permit pour un professionnel pour réduire de 30 000 roupies à 22 500 roupies. Et qu'un professionnel qui a un minimum 10 ans d'expérience se peut gagner un Occupation Permit temporaire de 3 mois qui peut permettre pour travailler dans l'attente des autres confirmations.
Holding a retired residence permit will be allowed to work without permit.
Pour accélérer le recrutement de travailleurs étrangers, Agricultural Workers Job Contractors Regulations pour modifier pour offrir une plus grande flexibilité pour le recrutement dans le secteur agricole, un quota de main-d'œuvre étrangère pour supprimer dans le secteur de l'industrie manufacturière, de la bijouterie, du coffrant et des TIC, BPO, le délai maximum pour délivrer ou renouveler un work permit pour fixer à 3 semaines, la période maximale de renouvellement pour le secteur manufacturier pour porter à 10 ans, enfin, un non-citoyen à la retraite titulaire d'un residence permit pour autoriser à travailler sans work permit ou occupation permit supplémentaire.
The full salary compensation by paying the full salary compensation of up to 2,000 rupees for SMEs, providing a 10% rebate on DBM rentals for SMEs in productive sectors.
Monsieur le Président, tout au long de ce mandat, le gouvernement tient à côté d'un PME, d'un entrepreneur et d'un innovateur. Nous pouvons continuer à encourager l'esprit d'entreprise et donc nous pouvons verser l'intégralité de la compensation salariale jusqu'à 10 000 roupies pour un PME jusqu'en décembre 2024. Nous pouvons accorder un rabais 10% le loyer de la Development Bank of Mauritius pour un PME dans un secteur productif pendant 10 ans et que nous pouvons radier un prêt en souffrance depuis plus de 20 ans à la date du 30 juin 2025 et aussi un prêt des micro-entrepreneurs qui viennent décéder et qui se sont contractés auprès de la DBM, donc nous pouvons radier plus ce prêt-là.
For barcoding by SMEs, cooperatives, for barcoding by SMEs,
Nous pouvons augmenter le remboursement annuel maximum à 500 000 roupies dans le cadre SME Refund Scheme pour participation à l'apport international et que nous renoncer à 50% de loyer de plus de 5 ans à la DBM pour un PME à compter de 2025.
On accounts held in public banks. On accounts held in public bank. Agro-industry is fundamental.
Et pour donner à une coopérative un moyen de fondement pour qu'ils se développent, un nouveau programme pour être mis en place et qui peut couvrir 50% des coûts de digitalisation jusqu'à un maximum de 100 000 roupies pour une coopérative. Une coopérative pour bénéficier aussi d'un programme de la DBM et pour une coopérative pour gagner l'intérêt d'un compte qui se détenir dans la banque publique.
Of upwards of we are providing a grant of of 50% up to a maximum of 500,000 rupees for the construction.
Pour le secteur agro-industrie, nous parvenons insensibles à l'impact changement climatique, de la sécurité alimentaire et disponibilité de culture vivrière. Donc, nous proposons une série de mesures pour soutenir l'agro-industrie et pour stimuler davantage la production locale et réduire l'indépendance à l'égard des importations. Nous étendre la subvention de 50% jusqu'à un maximum 500 000 roupies pour construction, un maximum dès la ferme abritée, y compris le remplacement des bancs de filets en plastique. Nous étendre aussi la subvention de 50% lors de l'achat d'engrais. Nous étendre la subvention de 75% pour les semences de pommes de terre, oignons, carottes, haricots, l'ail et tomates. Nous étendre aussi la subvention de 250 000 roupies pour acheter l'équipement pour petits plantaires.
Farming facilities. 10 million rupees for upgrading of truck roads, drains and sheltered farms at the Britannia Organic Zone.
Nous pouvons aussi éteindre la subvention de 300 000 roupies à une coopérative pour qu'ils se testent l'équipement destiné à stimuler la production locale. Le gouvernement peut fournir aussi une subvention de 1 million roupies et une facilité de leasing à une condition préférentielle par la IFCM pour planter équipé à l'installation élevage en conteneur entièrement équipé. Le gouvernement peut fournir aussi 10 millions de roupies pour amélioration de la route, de drain et de ferme qui est abritée dans une zone biologique de Britannia et que le gouvernement peut fournir 50 millions de roupies pour mettre en place un entrepôt frigorifique au marché national de wholesale afin qu'il augmente la durée de conservation des fruits et légumes.
Finally, we'll increase the winter allowance for tea growers by 80%. From 2,50 rupees per kilogramme.
Et pour soutenir cette activité, nous pouvons fournir 6 millions de roupies pour poursuivre le road mending scheme pour une coopérative du thé, une cultivateur de thé qui occupe moins qu'un arpent la terre pour bénéficier de la franchise duty free pour acheter un 4x2. Enfin, nous pouvons augmenter de 80% l'allocation l'hiver pour un producteur de thé qui peut passer de 2,50 roupies par kilo à 4,50 roupies par kilo.
Mr. Speaker, sir, we have rekindled the cane industry. Thanks to the cane replantation scheme and
avec News Mauritius.